We've got a very, 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 very big special guest with us. Los hooked it up again, back-to-back weeks. Former Nole, NFL quarterback with the Bills, who just won the AFC Championship. Congrats to them. Also, with the Oakland Raiders. Spent some time with the Chiefs, too. Manuel, 2012 ACC champion quarterback in the house with us. Beat a lot of rivals during his time at FSU in Tallahassee. Manuel, what's going on, man?
What's up, Logan? What's up, guys? Los, what's up, man? How you feeling? You looking good, bro? You look like you can still go out there and rush for about 150 yards, man.
Man, Toronto will get a chance to see me play. They're going to get a chance this year when the border open up.
Yeah,
so
hey, congrats on that, too. Yeah, man, congrats. Yeah, congrats.
Thank
My bad. I guess we'll take that conversation off the air, but yeah, congratulations to you on that.
Thanks for coming on and joining us, man. We've been waiting all week. We got some great stuff to talk about, but thank you again for joining us, man.
Of course.
I was going to just start off right off the bat. We'll start off during your days at Florida State. Obviously, Bobby Bowden, huge figure at Florida State. When you think about Florida State, it's all Bobby Bowden, what he built, Doak. How smoothly was the transition for you, EJ, going from Bowden to different type of coach with Jimbo Fisher?
Yeah, so I had the leg up, I guess, over a lot of my other teammates that weren't quarterbacks because I spent a majority of my time with Jimbo. Jimbo recruited me. He was at my high school when I was a junior and a senior pretty much every Tuesday. That was kind of his loop. It seemed like, when he would come up in the Northeast or near Virginia and Maryland and North Carolina, he always stopped in my high school, would, come and say what's up to me during PE in high school. So I knew him very well. And I remember him saying he would be, the head coach after Coach Bowden, retired and moved on, whenever that would have been. He didn't say when, but he just always kind of said, hey, look, I'm going to be the next head man once Coach Bowden wants to, go ahead and finish coaching. So for me, it was an easy transition because, again, I spent the most time with him. I knew him the most. And so I felt like when he did become the head coach, he implemented a lot of really good things. I'm sure Los has probably alluded to it as far as just the mental part of football that a lot of us didn't really know about. A lot of us had talent. A lot of us come from backgrounds where we didn't have anyone in our families that had a psychologist or, those types of things that help you kind of handle being an athlete and being young as an athlete, in the spotlight. And I think that was a huge help that Jimbo implemented with us. It was Trevor Mowat at the time. And I think when we were young, we kind of like took it for granted. But once I got into the NFL and I saw the business of football, I was like, man, you really need that psyche part. You know what I mean? It's obviously you work out and you get your muscles strong, but you got to have a strong mindset too. So I felt like Jimbo did that. But it was obviously a pleasure to play for Coach Bowden. I still have that trophy in here somewhere, actually, right here. I got MVP of that Gator Bowl at the top for Coach Bowden back in, I think it might have been 2009, beat West Virginia. So that's something I always tell my friends or my grandkids one day when I ever have kids and stuff. So that's something I'm very proud of.
You started out your career backing up Christian Ponder, who went on to be a first-round pick for the Vikings. What did you learn from him, backing him up for a couple seasons, and how did you stay prepared to play, when he was injured every so often?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned from Christian was how to prepare. Christian was such a cerebral, smart guy on and off the field. He was kind of a stand-up citizen as far as being a college athlete. He was someone that you would look up to and say, man, I want to be like him whenever it's my time to start. And obviously I saw how Jimbo coached him up. He was hard on him just like he was hard on me, but obviously I was a backup. So, Jimbo put the most pressure on Christian at the time. And so being a freshman, sophomore, it was good for me to see how he responded. I think I learned a lot from the mistakes he might have made and even some of the successes or a lot of the successes that he had. I was able to kind of witness it and understand the game and learn. And, even once he got into the NFL, I remember watching the draft and being so excited for him. And, I remember texting Jimbo saying, hey, man, that's awesome. Just excited about moving forward into the spring. And Jimbo was like, hey, you can be next. He said, you can be. He didn't say you will be. He said, you can be. And I felt like, okay, once he said that, you got to put in the work. And I saw Christian do it. So for me, it was a matter of just, all right, rolling my sleeves up and getting back to work. And I had a great cast around me. So that obviously helped a ton. But I think those are some of the biggest things I learned from Christian, just as far as whenever he had successes, I was there to watch it. Whenever he had failures, I was there to watch it too and just learn from him.
Before I ask my question, you mentioned your trophy back there. We talked about before we hopped on, you were a closer. You came in, that Gator Bowl, the Peach Bowl, you came in and there was no drop off. And I think that speaks to your ability to prepare. in the way that how your approach was to the game. But for me, one of the questions I've always thought the 2011 Chance Bowl was kind of like the start of the reemergence of Florida State. And I want to get your thoughts on that game because you played on a broken leg, brand new offensive line, all, if I'm not mistaken, and all new starters. Can you talk about the impact of that game and how that kind of transitioned over to the next season?
Yeah, thanks, Nate. I think the biggest thing about that game specifically that stood out to me, and I'm sure a lot of my teammates felt the same way, was that we got a chance to play Notre Dame. I felt like that was one of the premier schools in the country. When you play Notre Dame, you want to beat them. And again, just looking at another moment where I said, okay, in 20 years, I'm going to look back and say, man, I had a chance to beat Notre Dame, and I'm glad we did. So I do think that was kind of a game where I felt like we could really be one of the nation's best. I feel like every year we had great players coming in, 4 or 5 stars. That was kind of the normalcy at that time when I was at Florida State. A lot of us in Los, we would bring in those kind of guys every year. And, we didn't have Los yet, but that class was coming. And I felt like when we had chances to beat Notre Dame, I think that made a statement throughout the country to say, hey, look, these guys are next up. And, obviously playing with a broken leg, it's funny. To tell a quick story, I remember coming to the sideline after an offensive drive, and I couldn't walk. And I told Jimbo, I was like, man, my leg is hurt. And I just remember saying, get your back in the game. And it's funny when, they probably told me I had like a bone bruise or something. And it's just crazy how the mind works because that's what I thought I had. So I was like, all right, my leg's just bruised. Let me go out there, and just do what I got to do. And I was hobbling around, but made enough plays to win the football game and brought us back. But come to find out I had a broken leg. So now that's the story I tell people. Like, yeah, I played with a broken leg and all, I was being tough or whatever. But at the time, I just remember thinking I had a bruise. And so I think back then, again, just the mentality. I feel like that was the biggest thing, man. Like when I talk about Jimbo to people, I just think that he brought that mentality to us, that dog, that tenacity, that we got off the bus feeling like we were going to win. And when we played Notre Dame again, once we won that game, I felt like, okay, now this is for us to take that next step and just continue to get bigger and get more respect in the country. Because at that time, there was a lot of other teams on the West Coast. USC was still really good. Notre Dame obviously was good. Bama was still rolling. They were getting right. But for us at Florida State, we just kind of wanted to have that name in the ACC and try to lock that down.
And we had Vince Williams on the show last week, your former teammate at Florida State. And he said the home game in 2011 against Oklahoma was the loudest he ever played in college. What would be your pick?
I would say that my dad and I were talking about that 2 weeks ago because we were saying how somebody asked about like a shoulder injury, and I had like a grade 2 shoulder separation in like the third quarter of that game, and that was the loudest I've ever heard Doak be. And I think we were winning the game going into half, or it was going back and forth, and we obviously lost it in the second half. But that was probably the loudest I can remember it being. I remember Clemson games and Doak were always loud, obviously Florida games, but that Oklahoma game specifically, I could feel our fan base. They wanted that one. Obviously, us as a team, we wanted it too, and we didn't earn it. But that was one of those nights where, okay, you felt the legion of Florida State. You know what I mean? You felt the Noles family out there, and I even felt like the crowd, like the stadium was kind of swaying a little bit. It was so loud. So I don't think I heard a louder stadium even once I've gotten to the NFL. I don't remember it getting louder than that.
Okay, Nate, I stand corrected. There you go.
What game what you thought I was going to say a different game, Lois?
I mean, we got the chance. We got the chance to play in Clemson. You got to go to Norman and play. And when we talked to Vince talked about that, but he did talk about that effect coming back. And after getting stomped by them and coming back and having the ability to play them in Doak, and we know what the atmosphere is like in Doak at night. We know what that tunnel is like when you get ready to come out there and Jimbo's talking about, hey, Bo, get them boys ready. And when you start jumping in that adrenaline rush and the band's out there playing and the fireworks go off and that tunnel opening, you see that 90,000 come out there. Those people been out there in that stadium parking lot all day. They ready to come in there and tear it down. So, it's just, I understand that. But I got to play with you and I got to play with Jameis Winston. And two very different people, two very different quarterbacks, two very different professionals. I got to watch you lead us to an ACC championship playing on a broken leg, being very humble, very, very meek about it. But you were very captivating when you stood up and took a room. You led us to an ACC championship the first time Jimbo won one. You led us to a BCS bowl game the first time we had been to one and won one. since you had been there. And then the very next year, after being drafted in the first round, Jameis Winston, as a redshirt freshman, goes and win a national championship and the Heisman Trophy. Tell us about the emotions that goes through that from having great success and then having somebody come right behind you and having what some would say bigger success.
Yeah, Los, thank you, man. You know what? As far as when you put it that way, as far as bigger success, I think I was probably Jameis's biggest fan because he had a lot going on, man. He had a lot going on off the field. That situation he had going on. So I was more in awe of how he responded. He was playing so well week in and week out. And not only that, it was his first year. He was a redshirt freshman. That was his first experience. And I remember being in Buffalo, coming back home from practice or whatever to watch the first game versus Pitt. And I don't even know if he missed a throw, honestly. I think he might have been, 95% completion percentage, something like that, something crazy.
That throw, Shaw was a completion, by the way.
Right. But I just know he had a nearly perfect game his first game. And so that's when I knew, man, Jameis is the real deal. And for me, I think I was just more excited for you guys because I felt like had we not lost that NC State game and then later in that season lost that game versus Florida, we would have been in a similar position. Maybe maybe wouldn't have made it to the championship, but we would have definitely had an opportunity to say something about it late in the year had we not lost that game specifically to NC State. So I think for me, the one thing about me, man, this, Lowe's, there's no hate in me, bro. I'm happy for everybody and whatever capacity that success comes from, because also success comes in many different forms. Jameis obviously became a first round overall pick, won the Heisman, won the national championship, had a chance to win 2. And, that's his success. But just how you are now a father, you know what I mean? You're a husband, you know what I mean? I'm proud of you, you know what I mean? So to me, I just think success comes in so many different forms. I was extremely happy for him. And also the supporting cast that you guys had around him, I think helped him too. And I'm sure J-Bo would tell you that the fact that you were there on the defensive side, Telvin Smith, Christian Jones, Eddie Goldman, Timmy Jernigan, T. Brooks, LaMarcus Joyner, so many different players on both sides of the football. So for him,
it's amazing you speak on that with Jameis, how you're proud of that the success after that. Because a lot of people were like, Los, you were great back at Florida State. I'm like, I was straight. I played with Cookie.
Right.
Man, y'all had to understand
what kind
of work this, man. Last week, you guys heard, we talked about, how was AB? Man, nobody outworked AB. Nobody. I don't care nobody outworks him. Nobody outworked Cookie from the time he stepped inside the locker room at the Moore Athletic Center. He was the guy. And we knew it. We just had to find a way to get him on the field faster. Los, teach him as much as you can, as fast as you can. Okay, because I want to win again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee if EJ had another year, it was okay, I had a BCS at an Orange Bowl. Let's go get a rose. You know what I'm saying? It was that taste for it again. We wanted to go from Dallas to Dallas when we started off with Oklahoma State. We had tasted it. We just didn't have enough. It was enough. And so I love to hear you talk about you like to see that success linger on and go on and push on, because I felt the same way about Dalvin and Cam and Jaquez coming after me, and the back's there now. It feels good to see it.
Yeah. And Los, I want to kind of compound on that. Obviously it wasn't just me, man. My year, it was Bjorn went in the first round, Zay went in the first round, Big Tank went in the second round. It was a bunch of us that got drafted. Menelik went early. And Moody, Vince, everybody got drafted that year, right? So I felt like you young guys saw us have that success. And then I felt like you guys had that hunger. You guys had that vision of all right, this is how you get to that level. And I felt like y'all had that dog in you from us. You guys were still young. Y'all, a lot of y'all were freshmen and sophomores. And so that following year, even that O-line I had my senior year, a lot of those guys were young. Stork, Trey, Cam, Josue, all those guys were young. Bobby, Bobby was 18 years old as a junior.
Bobby
you know what I mean?
What? What are you doing? How are you in college at 16?
Right. To me, I felt like that was where I was more proud, because I saw my little brothers go up and grow and win a national championship on a huge level and in an amazing fashion too. That was a great comeback game. And even to see the maturation in KB. Talk about Kelvin Benjamin. You know what I mean? When I was there, he was good, but he got great the following year. When Kenny was there, he was good, but he got great the following year. When Rashad was there, he was good, but he got great the following year. Same with Nick O'Leary. So, I mean, so many great players. I know I'm missing guys and forgetting names, but for me, man, there was no sense of feeling like, I should have won the Heisman. Nah, I was completely happy with what happened to me. I ended up being a first-round pick, changed my life in a moment. And so obviously there was no hate inside me, bro. I was extremely happy and still am for Jameis. I talked to him earlier or last week. Yeah, actually.
I got to slide this question in for you because we asked Vince last week. We asked about undiscovered talent that you played with while at Florida State. Give us one or two guys that you was like they didn't have enough opportunity or they just went under the radar of undiscovered talent.
Are you saying that translated into the NFL or just in general?
While you were at Florida State that didn't matter, never got a shot or didn't translate into the league, like a guys that were like exceptionally talented while being at Florida State. Mr. Alexander was a diamond in the rough.
Yep.
You know, he was a guy that went under the radar. Terrence Parks was a guy like that as well.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Yeah, TP.
One of mine would have been Brandon Jenkins for us because B. Jenks was at that peak. Right when he like one of the you know what I'm saying? He could have been best
I'm gonna say
right after Everett Brown. And then he hurt his ankle. He was never the same.
I'm gonna say Jermaine Thomas, bro. Like Jermaine was one of those guys when I was a freshman, I was redshirting, learning. Jermaine was out there playing. You know what I mean? Like contributing at a high level. Same with Jarmon Forson. You talk about guys that came in and were great players off the rip, and you know whatever circumstances might have happened, and it didn't necessarily translate to a long pro career. But those two guys specifically, I remember Ty was the same way, another running back that was extremely great when he had opportunities to play. And obviously I know I'm on the offensive side, defense. I got, you know, those are the enemies in practice, but you know, those three guys specifically, I remember them being freshmen or us all being freshmen. They had chances to play and they had, you know, they performed well as young guys.
Transitioning over a little bit to the NFL, you know, can you walk us through that draft process? You know, did you think that Buffalo was going to be the team, or were you talking to other teams, you know, leading up to the draft, or you know, when did you know that it was going to be Buffalo?
Yeah, I thought three teams. Buffalo, I had a good feeling about the Jets, who ended up taking Geno in the second round. Also felt pretty good about Philadelphia. Chip Kelly was there. He recruited me when he was at Oregon. Maybe Kansas City at that time. You know, they took Patrick Mahomes a few years after me, but I felt like I had a really good meeting with Coach Reed, and who I ended up signing with before I decided to, you know, forego football and take the job with ACC and ESPN. So those four teams, I think when I knew the Bills were going to take me was draft night once they traded back. And I think I'm not sure what pick that they got from trading back, but I had a feeling. And actually, I remember one of the guys that was in charge of the draft, he kind of gave me like a wink saying that he thought the Bills would pick me in the first round. And so for me, honestly, at that time, whether I went in the first or the fourth round, I didn't care. My mom had just beat breast cancer. So for me, I was happy to be there, have my family there. That was something I grew up watching. And just like Los, or all of us, I mean, probably watched the draft since, you know, you were 5 years old and seeing these guys, you know, life changing in an instant. So for me, I would say I had a good feeling probably, you know, like an hour right before the draft. And then once it happened, it was kind of a whirlwind from there. The rest was history.
Speak on a little bit of your entire career, not just Buffalo, but going to Oakland and Kansas City after that.
Yeah. Well, in what way are you asking?
Like, how did you think your career went? You know, obviously it didn't go the way a lot of people thought it would, but you still had a pro career.
I feel you on that. For me, man, I think the circumstances that I was, you know, dealt with, injuries, getting benched, and the reason why I was benched, not necessarily being, you know, told to media, who then they take that and they turn it into, oh, he can't play, he can't do this, he can't do that. When the explanation to me was he wanted me to learn from a veteran, which is pretty standard. You know, a lot of young quarterbacks, they get a chance to learn from somebody. I think initially Kevin Cobb was supposed to be the guy my rookie year. He ends up getting hurt before the season started. So I go into the season with a torn meniscus. I did that the second week of the preseason in my rookie year versus Minnesota. So I had to rush back, feel kind of hurt, but play well. And I end up having knee injuries all throughout my rookie year. So that kind of slowed my maturation once I got into the off season, as far as like going hard with working out, because I couldn't really work out until I would say May or June of that off season going into my second year. So I really just think a lot of what goes on for quarterbacks specifically, and I'm not just going to, you know, because I'm not ashamed at all of my career. I was extremely proud of what I did. I did something that most people will never have a chance to do. And I'm extremely blessed for it and fortunate for it. And my life's great. Like I enjoy every single day I wake up. But I think with quarterbacks, and I'll talk about this tomorrow with Trevor Lawrence, is how it's all situational. I think whatever situation you go into, you look at guys that go and get drafted in the 6th round, they have, 18-year careers. You know what I mean? Because they don't have that pressure on them on a bad team or a team that's not that good as a 1st round or a 2nd round pick. You have that pressure to go out there and perform as a rookie. And, it's different for a running back like Los. He came in and he balled out right away because he had that talent. He had that juice. At quarterback, it's so many nuances to understanding the game. And you're going up against the GOATs like Tom Brady. Like, that was who I went up against my first game ever. You know what I mean? With a half-torn meniscus, you know what I mean? And we still almost won that game. I think we lost by a field goal. So, again, man, when I look back at my career, I'm extremely proud of it. I'm extremely proud of the lessons that I learned and the business lessons that I learned. That's why I kind of parlayed my football career into now a TV career that's seeming to grow. So, overall, of course, I wish I had more touchdowns and more rings and more playoff berths and more opportunities to start. But also, there were moments where it was out of my hands. I might have had a great preseason, or not just good, a great preseason, and still didn't get the job or still didn't get a chance to show my talents. And then also, I felt like my mentality and my confidence suffered from that. And me being young, not understanding that, hey, it's not necessarily about the circumstances, it's how you come out the circumstances. So now I get that part as a man now. And, hopefully I can pass that off to another young man that's going to be in a similar situation as me.
Right. And we talked about a little bit before the podcast started. We just partnered with Chick-fil-A. Very grateful for that. So what is your favorite meal at Chick-fil-A?
All right. So my favorite meal at Chick-fil-A, when I go, I'm starving. So I usually get the number one, which is the classic Chick-fil-A sandwich. I'm a honey mustard guy. I'm a large fry guy as well. I also always get the chocolate chip cookie. And then I also get the entree of the 5-piece nugget as like a little addition to my sandwich. And so those are my favorites. I'll get the fruit cup sometimes if I'm feeling healthy, but usually I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm a fry and a cookie guy, and also the lemonade for a drink.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned. Go ahead, Los.
You've had life, like you've transitioned. We also talking about you transition with life through football, after football. Me and Vince has talked about it. We love the game. We're very religious, just like you. We've talked to Pastor Clint, Pastor Reggie while being at Florida State. We've, had our meetings and stuff like that. So we've always had the two different ends of the spectrum of our religion and the football, but we can bring both to the table. And we thought that the best way to do that was through coaching. Have you ever thought about taking that coaching? You do the broadcasting, you go on the pro day tomorrow, see Trevor Lawrence. So you ever thought about taking that to an academy, or, coaching at a high school is familiar to you and kind of building, the talent around where you grew up?
Yeah. One thing, Los, that I've learned, man, in my, I guess, manhood and situations that I've gone through is to always be honest. How sometimes as athletes, we want to say the right thing and say the thing that sounds good and politically correct. But no, sir, I have not thought one bit about coaching. When I saw how some of the GAs and, those younger lower level guys, running around trying to get paid, getting yelled at by the head coach and stuff, I don't really look into doing that too much, man. Maybe one day when I have, like I said, kids myself, I'll coach some little league and maybe a high school at some point. But for right now, if I would go out to a camp and help and instruct, but as far as being a mainline coach that got to show up every day, can't say that I would want to, bro. But I'll leave that to you and Vince, man. I'll send my kids to you guys.
We get to high school together soon. Me, John, we get into high school together.
EJ, so before we let you go, we want to get your thoughts on Florida State in 2021. Yeah. Florida State's hasn't been FSU the last couple of years. What are your thoughts on what's got to change, and what do you think about Norvell and the program heading into this coming fall?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of time. I do think Coach Norvell did a great job of recruiting this year, specifically with the transfer portal guys. I feel like a lot of the teams now understand that's the best way to take advantage and get some immediate, play from guys. You look at McKenzie Milton, and I know off air you had mentioned my top 5 quarterback list. The only reason I didn't have him in the top 5 and a few other guys, to me, was because I wanted to put some respect on Jordan Travis's name. I'm not going to necessarily count him out from being, the starter as well. I think, both of those guys can help elevate each other's game. Obviously, McKenzie was a 4,000-yard passer before he got injured when he was at UCF. But I think they can help the room. I think that's going to be a great addition to that team, and obviously the leadership role that he's going to bring. But I think Coach Norvell did the best thing by getting some veteran pedigree guys that have already tasted success in their own right at different schools. You look at I think Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end coming over from Georgia. He's a first round talent, and I feel like he's one of those guys that he gets down there with Coach Hagens and the D-line coaches, and I feel like he can be someone that can really make a difference. I think Florida State just needs confidence. They got to have some good things happen to them, and I said that all year long when I was doing the huddle on ACC Network. I just feel like when you watch them play, they have moments where they show greatness, and then there's moments of just like mistakes where it's like, come on, man, but all learning lessons. I've been there, you know what I mean? And obviously you got a ton of pressure on you because these guys are trying to live up to what we did, when we were at Florida State, and that's kind of the bar that subsequently we left when we moved on and into our pro careers. So I do think Florida State's moving in the right direction, trending in the right direction. I think really it starts at the quarterback position. If they have some guys that can really protect those dudes and give them opportunities to get the ball down the field, I think that's when we'll start seeing Florida State rack up some wins.
Agreed.
Yep, it's going to be interesting, the whole quarterback battle. There's a lot of battles all over the place. I think that's what Mike Norvell has.
Yeah, and let me just say this before you go, Logan. It was tough because obviously my first year, I was taking Florida State pretty much every weekend. But then we started talking trash off air, and we're doing this who's winning and losing, all that kind of stuff, in the pick'em. And there were certain games I was like, I want to take the Noles, but I don't know, right? But hopefully this year, man, they could go ahead and go out there and do their thing. And again, I just think it's a matter of confidence because they have the talent, they have the players, they have the coaches. It's just a matter of them going out there and balling. And what's going to happen is the trend of all the great recruits are going to want to start going back to Tallahassee. That college football is very, it's a copycat league, just like the NFL is. The players want to go where they feel like they have a chance to go play in the NFL. So if Florida State gets back to winning, they're going to have those big matchups at 8:00 on ABC. They're going to have those big matchups on Thursday night to play a big game like Clemson or a big game like Notre Dame in front of a national crowd. So really, as long as they get those wins back and those bowl victories specifically, that's where I think Florida State will get back to where they need to be.
Absolutely. We're excited to cover it this season. Hopefully with COVID-19, hopefully by then some things will be straightened out where practices and, we won't see Florida State come out from a month off a plane, a football game. Hopefully things in a spring will be huge too.
Yeah, it'd be huge. But huge. And that's another thing too, not to go off a tangent, but he didn't get a full spring. He didn't get a full regular training camp. So I'm sure that first game versus Georgia Tech, Coach Norvell said it. He's trying to figure out who his guys are. You haven't really seen these guys be battle tested until that first day. So, and also you didn't have that cupcake game where you play Savannah State or you play, one of those smaller tier schools to really go out there and beat their heads in. So they kind of had, a full blown game from jump. And, obviously what happened, but I do think they'll be better for it coming into this season.
And it's going to be an even bigger one with Notre Dame coming into town early September. So, EJ, appreciate you, man. Busy guy. I love seeing guys that go, are on the football field, they go to NFL and then become analysts like this. It's been awesome to see your journey. I think the sky's the limit, and love following you and everything. It's really inspiring. So definitely appreciate you really coming on here.
Of course. Thank you, guys. And anything else you need moving forward during the season next year, just hit me up. All right, appreciate it.
Definitely will do.
Appreciate it, EJ.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
EJ. All right, Lo, stay up, man.
Eat Chick-fil-A.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you ain't got to say that twice to me, bro. I'm going to get some tomorrow. Yes, sir. Y'all stay up.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, man.
Sweet deal. Well, that was awesome. That was great having EJ on here. I've been wanting to have him on the show for a couple years now.
Make sure you send him his meal cards.
I know. We definitely got to give him meal cards. It seems like he's
gonna send me my meal cards.
Well, you did show him the shirt. You did show him the shirt, Austin.
I know.
Oh my.
We
Unreal.
had 30 minutes.
I know. We had 30 minutes of not playing around here. That had to be quick. Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off, Carlos. I want to get that question in.
No, that was perfect though. That was a good question though.
Okay.
He got 3 and 1.
We needed it. We needed it. Needed it badly.
No, Austin, your question was good though. I couldn't even ask about transition because he damn near went into coaching. He almost went into it.
No.
Yeah, no.
That was good though. That was good.
Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to have him back on before the season starts, because then we can really dive into a few things here and there. Definitely on the quarterback battle, the offense, defensively, the culture, the locker room. It feels like there's a lot more to be talked about. But busy guy, busy man, media.
What about that though, fellas? He
Analyst.
thinks that there's a real quarterback battle going on in our locker room. I like that. That's something.
That's speaking from a true quarterback, though.
Yeah,
I'm about
that's
it.
That's speaking from a true quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's practically it for definitely thank EJ Manuel hopping in here with us. Now we just jump into the rest of the show where practically it's just quick hitters of almost nothing. It's been kind of a slow week, nothing much going on. There's a video that came out, Tour of Duty, that we probably need to talk about. What else? What else?
I mean, look how slow Milton looked in that half second, man.
Coming out
He
of
didn't look good, right?
coming out of a break.
No. Let me do the intro and then we'll kind of jump into things real quick. All right.
Also, are we going to do an instant reaction against Wake Forest to preview Virginia?
I don't know. When is that?
I think noon. Let me check.
Remember, that's the thing where I said that I have to go to her some kind of like wedding venue.
Yeah, it's at noon.
So
Yeah,
like I'm gonna be driving there probably like 2:30 because it's at 3:00. So I can.
Dustin, you got time to back out.
What?
You got time to back out. Don't do it.
Nah.
Don't do it.
All right.
I'm weighing my options.
So who's doing their top 10s?
Me and Nate.
I am.
Because I don't think anyone else actually prepared. We got a week.
I always think
Jameis
on the top of
Winston,
my
number
head.
one.
Had a week.
I think we need to mention Wilder and Shaw getting picked up by Edmonton.
Yep. I know CFL. I'm excited for the CFL this season, man.
We're still live right now, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we are live is live. Livest is live. So whenever y'all are ready,
I'm just making sure.
we'll jump right in.
You're gonna need to do
Yeah, I need
interview
to
transition for the podcast cut
Hey.
too.
Just to let y'all know, I'm rushing for 1,000 when I get up there.
Oh.
So
I'm just let y'all know that off the top.
1,000 touchdowns.
Off the top. No, see, you think I'm joking. You think I'm joking.
No, I said 1,000 touchdowns. Like,
You're being sarcastic. There's no way possible.
he's being
you're gonna have a nice 10-year career
Yeah,
in
awesome.
Canada.
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin.
See, supportive. All right.
Even Nate didn't say nothing like that. Thank you, Nate.
I got a question for the podcast for you.
Oh, here you go.
Regular show
I
football.
think Nate's feeling fine.
We'll do Milton video. Did you want to speak on the recruiting thing? That's just like a 5-second thing. That's just stupid.
Very much for recruiting right now. It's
Yeah,
quiet.
just that little new thing that they're trying to do or whatever it is,
Yep.
the dead period, and then
Yep.
we'll do top 10 players in program history, and then we'll do basketball to finish it off.
Yes, let's go.
Let's do it. All right, 3, 2, 1. What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day. We are here on this beautiful late Thursday evening this week. We just got done with a crazy interview with EJ Manuel, incredible guy. Came on here and spent 30 minutes with us. Really busy dude, too. Analyst for the ACC Network. He jumped in, talked about his career at Florida State, talked a little bit about his transition going into the NFL, and talked about some McKenzie Milton, Jordan Travis, the current state of the Florida State football program, and more. So that's going to be coming to you guys in the middle of this show right now. We're going to start off with some football. We're also going to give our top 10 players in program history. It's actually this week, Austin and Nate are going to be doing that. Next week, Carlos, Dustin, and I will be doing that. So we're going to have a kind of a two-part segment of
The
this.
2-part series. We planned it this way.
Over dramatic. We're just going
Don't
to
ask any questions.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. And then we'll end it off with basketball with Austin since we're coming back. Leonard Hamilton's coming back with life here, second round of coming back from the COVID-19 quarantine. With me tonight, Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer, Carlos Williams, 2013 national champion, said he's going to run for 1,000 yards in the CFL this upcoming season, is with us. Nate Greer, our lead recruiting insider. D-Lou up above, hanging out with us, lead writer and editor.
Oh, let me put this.
And then
Celtics
me.
game on.
At the bottom. I'm just hanging out the bottom.
There's 1 second left.
Gentlemen, what's going on, guys? Let's get going. What do we got? How's the week been? Busy week? It's been a tough one
up?
for all of us.
Busy
Very
week.
busy week. Very busy week. We just
Yep,
started,
yep.
and my wife is already looking at me with the evil eyes.
She's looking
Yeah,
at
you
you.
can hear her laughing because you know it's true.
Hey man, I
We'll
feel
make
you
it
there.
Quick, man. We'll make it
Thank you,
quick.
Dustin. Now you finally know how I feel. It's
I just
all-
don't. I just don't have a kid yet, but I'm like halfway there.
Oh, the kids are cool. My wife give me the evil eyes.
Just tell her to sit back, listen, and get some entertainment, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're her favorite. She's waiting for you to say something wild so she can laugh. I'm going mute.
Maybe we'll line her up as a special guest.
I don't know if Los wants that. Los does not want that.
I will
go his whole family.
Get a behind the scenes life of Carlos Williams.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure.
Y'all want to make some money?
Y'all
want to make some money? If y'all want to make some money, y'all grab a camera and we can film right now. We can make bucket loads.
Let's get into it.
Let's jump into it. Yep. I mean, let's talk about the big topic of the week. This is all we got to work with. But McKenzie Milton can't run. What's going on? Is the Twitter world freaking out? Is he crawling? What's happening? It seems like everybody's just it's over. It's done. It's now just he should just leave the program because he has a brace on and during probably a 2-hour workout session.
Yeah, the amateur knee doctors have a lot of opinions right now.
I will say that I do agree with James Coleman. You know, some things should just not be put out there. But the follow-up video of him just feasting on UCF's defense, I think should put an end to any debate of a 2-second snippet of a video. I think that is just asinine and complete overreaction from Florida State fan base to that situation.
Which, I mean, it's nothing to do with Florida State fans. They're thirsty for anything to talk about. Yeah. It's not even a 2-second clip, and you don't even know what drill they're doing. Like, come on, relax.
To me, it looked like they were doing cone, like he was doing cone drills, which if you're just coming back from a gigantic knee injury, you're going through an entire workout. Are you supposed to look like you have makeup on, like beautiful, like everything's just going great, everything's wonderful, Los? Like, God dang, man. If that's the point, then I want them looking terrible. I want him throwing up while he's running. Damn it.
I said in the group chat, his arm is fine. His mental part of the game is just as good as ever. And like Carlos said in our group chat, you know, that I'll take that.
Any athlete that's ever had any knee injury, you get a kid get a scab on their knee. They're barely don't want to touch their knee alone. This guy had surgery, of course, and he's going to be in a knee brace. It's going to take time for him to adjust and run and move.
How do you think I looked whenever coming back from my ACL injury when I was having to walk down the side of the road? Like, looked freaking terrible. I mean, it was awful.
Why were you walking down the side of the road?
Trying to find
after ACL surgery.
Trying to find things.
I've had 3 ACL injuries. 3. And it's not easy to come back from, even with today's modern science.
It's not easy for any lower body injury.
I did mine, you know, I'm not going to age myself, but I did mine 25 years ago, which is just crazy to think. And then,
whoa, God almighty.
Yeah, so I did mine, you know, a long time ago. So, you know, some of you guys weren't even freaking born yet.
The gray beard shows it. Don't worry. Did you have that?
That's wisdom, man. You'll
wisdom.
Wisdom. Sure, it's not. You got a little bit of soup on there, sir. You got a little bit of soup.
That's all gray, buddy. No, but I got to jump into this one because Carlos made a comment why I didn't say anything funny about the CFL. You know, with James Wilder and Kenny Shaw getting picked up. You know, I hope you don't get a lot of time in the CFL. I kind of hope this is for you a building block back into the NFL. So, you know, I don't have a smart comment. You know, I hope this is more of a transition and a time for you to get a chance to show the abilities are still there and that you can build it into another shot in the NFL. So I hope I hope you rush for a grand. I hope you crush it. You know, so, you know, who's going to rush for more? You or James?
I mean, to be honest with you, I looked at James' stats yesterday when it was on Twitter yesterday again. And I was like, you know what? That's a really, really good like rookie year. They would consider it. I mean, almost rushing 4,000, having close to 2,500 yards all purpose.
Different game there.
I mean, the field's bigger, and I mean, to be honest with you, I'm faster than James. Open field. I mean, athletically inclined. probably more athletic than James. Stronger, physical. It's a different game. James is a different kind of runner, but I have more space and more field. I play when the offense in NFL I played in, it had to be more multiple. I mean, I got to play with LaShawn McCoy. I mean, I got to experience him out in the field and catching balls and splitting out. I mean, I caught a touchdown that broke the NFL rookie record in Jersey. I mean, when I caught it on Thursday night, I had to catch a pass and run a route that way. So, I mean, it's a different game up there, but I do appreciate that. I'm going to catch a lot of balls. I'm going to score a lot of touchdowns. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I hope it's a stepping stone to get back into the NFL. I want to get paid in 2022. Like, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, the ultimate goal is to take the opportunity, seize the opportunity, and play. I hope we see Edmonton. I mean, I hope it's a great game. It's a matter of fact, it's a lot of guys that's going to play. Ermin Lane, Naquan's going to just sign.
Yeah, with y'all.
I mean, it's a lot of people. I mean, it's a lot of guys up there. A lot of guys we played against in the national championship. I know Nick Marshall's up there in Saskatchewan. I talk to him frequently on social media. I mean, he was excited and reached out when I got signed. Chris Rainey from Polk County's back in BC. I mean, it's just a lot of guys that I know personally that I've been around and seen and played throughout the years in the CFL. It's actually going to be pretty exciting to see with football coming back. With 2020 shutting down, they haven't had football in a year. I mean, we get emails and fan letters and stuff like that. They're really excited to have football back in the Great White North. It's going to be fun, man. It's really going to be fun.
Yeah, y'all got Nooney Burry, who we've had here on the podcast. You also have Martavis Bryant, who I think is a freak athlete. I wish things would have worked well in Pittsburgh, but an absolute freak. And then it's got you at running back. And you also got just signed Kelly Bryant. Obviously, we know him from his time at Clemson. I'm excited. I'm now definitely an Argonaut. I'll be watching. We'll be here talking a lot about it, but I can't wait for the season. I want to go back to this video, too, because we got our first chances to see Jermaine Johnson, too, who looks like an absolute physical freak, too. Looks like he's in shape. We saw a few pictures of Fabian Lovett that he posted on his social media, and he looks really in shape. I don't know if you guys were able to see that, but he came in weighing quite a bit, but he's looked like he's slimmed up a little bit.
Even Robert Cooper in the background looked a little slimmed down.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just want to see it in the spring. I want to see it on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. We talk a lot about how they are during the offseason and guys are looking big and whatnot. But
they're putting in work. They're putting in work. You know, tour duty is going really well. You know, the camaraderie, the team first mentality is there, which, you know, it hasn't been the last couple of years. So it's good to hear.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of accountability between the players. So, you know, that's what, you know, talking to the guy today, and, you know, he mentioned that, you know, everyone's back, everyone's working hard. You know, the just the difference between the accountability from last year, the difference between the effort. So, you know, hopefully that can just continue to carry over into spring.
And one thing too about Coach Storm's last little tidbit here, I remember watching him during October, and he calls it Squat-tober, where he every single day is squatting. There's one kind of squat workout that he's doing, and it's a good amount of weight too, but it's non-stop squatting. He works on, and this is being implemented too from what we've heard a lot in the tour of duty and workouts, building that base and frame that is going to last you. That's going to help you in fourth quarter. It's going to help you be able to get off the block, make a block. Building that base down there, I think, is really important before anything else in football.
Correct.
That's pretty much mainly the quick hitters of the week. Nate, there was just a note on the NCAA and them having some recruiting. What are they doing now? They're going to say
they're recommending to push the dead period back. It was going to be lifted up in April. I don't know the exact day, but the plan was to lift it up. And yeah, go ahead, Nate.
No, I was just going to follow up with what you were about to say. You know, you and I have been hitting it real hard with these recruits, and they've been expecting to start visiting again in April. And, you know, I just think it's, you know, it's not really fair to these kids, man. You know, you can have fans at the games. I fully understand safety. You know, I had a COVID test today. You know, there's negatives. You know, I understand the impact of it in my line of work. At the same time, you know, it doesn't make sense why kids can't visit a school. And a lot of these kids are getting frustrated that, you know, they try to make these lifelong decisions and they can't even step on campus.
It's brutal. It's ridiculously brutal by now. I mean, I know
Honestly,
we
I
were in
like it.
Florida, but I mean,
I
things are
like it.
about back to normal here. But I understand maybe if you're in Ohio or you're in California, like, well, we haven't even gone to a restaurant or whatever. But I mean, at some point, either you
April is
you get
still
tested. Now
a
you can do it.
half
You can do
away.
it in like 15 minutes. Now you can get tested in 15
Yep.
minutes. You sit there and then you get your results. And why can't you do that for a recruit and then maybe two parents or whoever, two other people that he's bringing, and then the staff is already tested? Why is this so hard? Why is this the hardest thing ever? And like Nate said, this is an important, very, very, very important decision that a recruit is making. I know Lowe's could talk about it, but there's so
But I
many
like it.
schools after you, but it's a very important decision for your next 4 years
like
in
the
life and
difficult-
your future professional career too, if you go to the NFL.
I like the difficulty though right now. I like the difficulty. Can I be honest with y'all? When they made that rule about schools being able to pay kids getting able to get paid in their likeness, what do you think kids are going to go more likely to the schools that are going to get them drafted earlier, play earlier? The other schools can't compete with that. So I'm kind of happy is they can't go visit nowhere. It gives other schools opportunity to show them what they're worth outside of what's showing you what fancy jerseys and what all this other stuff look like. I mean, that's cool, but I'm looking at it at a different point of view. I mean, I wish I would have went to a different. If I would have went back and did my recruiting over again, I would have went to UConn. I would have went to the Big Ten. I would have went and played running back in the Big Ten. Rush for 4,000. I would have been like the next Ron Dane. I would have been. Come on, why not? Why take myself and go compete with 1,000 5-stars at Florida State when I could have been the only 1-star at Nebraska? Why not? Why?
Hey, wouldn't it make you
Why?
better
If I-
though?
if
So
my-
that when
if
you
my
get to the
ultimate- if my
NFL,
ultimate-
you've
Do you
already
really
been-
want to
goal-
surround
if
yourself
my
with
ultimate
corn?
goal- If
Hey,
my
look.
ultimate goal is to be picked at the highest pick, I'm gonna go where I can dominate and play the best football I can possibly play.
Los, real quick. Kind of follow up on that point. I talked to a kid last night who kind of said that same thing. He's going to be a possible top 100 kid in his cycle, and he mentioned, I don't understand why all these people are going to these super sack teams. I'm going to go somewhere where it doesn't matter where it is, where I can go and just play.
Why not? I honestly, to be honest, this generation that's coming out now, they're more me driven. I want to be about me. I want my money. I want this. Me. So if I could go back, I would say what's best for Carlos. Like, I love the camaraderie. I love the fact I had great teammates. You heard it with EJ tonight. You love the fact that we stay connected. I love that. But if my brother would have went to LSU, I would have went to USC. I would not been in the state of Florida. Like, it was luckily my brother, we grew up Florida State fans, no-blooded through and through. Like, we just wanted to stay close to home together. Like, my brother led the way. I followed him. But, like, no, I believe what that kid is saying is true. Follow your heart, kid. If you feel like you want to go somewhere for you and you're going to play early for you, you don't got to go to Bama. You don't got to go to LSU. You don't got to go to Florida. You don't got to go to none of those schools. Go to where you know you can be the most productive. You can get the best out of yourself. So you can put yourself in positions for you could be successful. Because you may go to a big D1 and you may put all that into it and you may not be successful. And you wasted 4 years of football doing nothing. If I can go back, I would do it all over again. That's the way I would do it. My boys want to play football. Hey, son, you don't got to go to Florida State. It'll be lovely. I would cry tears if you go with Florida State and wore 9 and did all. It'll be beautiful. Oh, it'll be great. But at the same time, you got to go what's best for you, because one day you're going to have a family. You're going to be in a position where you got to take care of this. Like, you got to go do what's best for you. Like, your entity. It's different. If people are chasing the D1 dream, the big school dream, and that what kills kids when they can't get it. They don't want to play football. They don't know what to do. And that's when real life hit them and they fail. Nobody's allowing them to go to a program that fits them and their personality, their heart, their dreams. They don't do that anymore. It's not like.
Man, Los was going on a great spiel there, man. I was about to say that was a presidential
Frozen.
speech. I don't know. Look at the
Frozen rock
screenshot.
solid.
Look at the screenshot.
But yeah, just going back to it for a second, the dead period being recommended to be pushed back hasn't officially happened yet. I just think it kind of sucks. It really sucks for the kids just because I don't feel like they're getting to make the best decision, since they're not getting to actually visit the campuses and see the football facilities, maybe even check out the city that the school is
The
in,
ladies,
and
the
things
ladies,
like that.
the
And
ladies.
but then at the same time, some of the schools are bringing in 20,000 fans on Saturdays, and none of them are getting COVID tested before they go into the game and things that. So I don't know. It just really sucks for the kids. Why can't we have 50 recruits on campus, socially distanced, and that? But you can have all these people come watch the game on Saturday and potentially spread the virus.
the
I don't know.
NCAA.
For me, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the decisions they're not unilateral. Like it's just not rational.
That's the NCAA, all about power. And I think
And then I think it's D2 and D3. You actually can visit campuses for recruiting purposes right now. So it's really just FBS that has these restrictions still in place.
All right, let's get in this top list.
hold up now. We got to
Go for
transition
it.
into this interview first before we give the people the arguments
Oh,
that
yeah.
are about to the arguments that are about to happen. Before we jump into Nate's and Austin's top 10s, which is I'm sure going to bring in a great conversation between all of us. Let's jump into the EJ Manuel interview. Former Noles ACC champion, went to the NFL, played for the Bills, started for the Bills, played with the Oakland Raiders, spent a little bit of time with the Chiefs. He talks about his time at FSU, talks about his career now at the ACC Network, a whole lot of things. Let's jump into it right now with EJ Manuel. All right, we are back now after the EJ Manuel interview. Definitely appreciate him coming on. It was a great experience. I have a lot of respect for him, and hopefully we'll be able to get him on before the season starts next season. He's got a busy schedule. We'll see if we can get him on, but definitely appreciate one of the best at FSU, one of the best passing guys at FSU to come through and hang out with us on Hear the Spear. All right, let's talk about it. We talked about it last week that we were going to bring this up. We decided to jump this into 2 parts. So this week it will be Austin and Nate. Next week it will be Los, Dustin, and I, and maybe Gillian here. But we're going to talk about our top 10 in FSU history, football-wise, for Florida State. We might do a basketball one maybe when it gets close into March a little bit. I think that'd be pretty fun. But let's do the top 10 right now, Austin and Nate, for football. What do we got? What kind of arguments are about to start right now?
I'm gonna get my honorable mention first. Okay. All right. So I got 6 guys in my honorable mention. I got Chris Wenke. I got Andre Wadsworth. I got Ron Sellers, Fred Biletnikoff, Greg Allen, and Peter Boulware.
Wow. Okay.
I think those guys are all possible fitting into the top 10.
Okay. All right.
I agree.
None of those.
I will give my honorable mentions as well, even though they're very similar. To me, there was like 8 no-brainers have to be top 10, and then there was the last 2 spots I had to really debate between. The ones I didn't have: Andre Wadsworth, Raynard Wilson, Biletnikoff, Ron Sellers, Jalen Ramsey, Peter Boulware. Work done. Work done was one I split. I was tough. It was tough.
Los heard it.
I know Los wasn't gonna be happy with me. It was between him and one more.
Things are gonna start warming up here.
All right. So how do you want to do this? You want to go, from 10 to 1?
Yeah.
I didn't put
Say 10 to 1.
10 to 1. Come on now.
All right. So I got my number 10 player is Terrell Buckley.
Same.
Okay.
My number 10 was Terrell Buckley.
All right. So I got T-Buck as he's one of the top cornerbacks in college football history. I think if it's not for Deion, he's definitely the number 1 cornerback in Florida State history. What he did at Florida State was tremendous, and I think he slept on in terms of greatness. And when you talk about college football players,
I agree. Just what he did for Florida State, the accomplishments are there, the awards are there. Especially with Florida State being DBU, you got to have 2 DBs in your top 10, and Terrell Buckley's that number 2.
And for him as a returner, what he did in the return game was ridiculous. I think that he's arguably, I think he's a better returner in college than what Deion was.
I don't disagree. I mean, to me, it was a coin flip between him and Work Done for me. Like you could go either way. There's a lot of guys you could debate between. I just think what Buckley was able to do at that position was just slightly more impressive for me.
For number 9, I got my all-time favorite Florida State player. I got Wart Dunn.
Okay.
You have to fit him in the top 10. From the time he stepped on campus, he was a major impact player. What was the leading rusher for a long time in Florida State history. Went on to a lot of success in the NFL. I think he's a fringe Hall of Fame player. For me, he's got to be in the top 10.
My number 9 was Chris Winkie. Just because you can't overthink it, he's a Heisman winner.
Mm-hmm.
A Heisman winner has to be in your top 10. That yes, he had the greatest college receiver and the most electrifying, maybe college player ever. But he's still a Heisman winner. You got to put him up there.
I agree. Got to have a Heisman in there.
I know. Kind of the NFL debate. For me, him losing to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
kind of hurts that a little bit.
I feel that.
Peter Wark, if Laverne Cole stays at Florida State?
Say it again.
Is Peter Wark if Laverne Cole stays at Florida State?
Peter Wark was Peter Wark as a redshirt freshman.
I'm asking you.
When he went for over 300 yards at Clemson in all-purpose yards. So yes.
Is he the same?
I think that it would have been even more.
Ooh.
Because it takes the. To be honest
with you, I don't think a lot of people would have been at Florida State if Randy would have been there. If Randy would have stayed, ain't nobody would have been the same. Randy
that is a different.
That's a different argument,
and I definitely agree with that. If Randy Moss stayed,
I don't think I love Peter. I wore 9 because of Peter, but I think that the dynamic of Lavernius Coles, even after he left it and went to the league, how he could have been. I think if he had more time at Florida State, I don't think Peter would have been as explosive. He wouldn't have been one of the greatest, most elusive of all time because he would have legitimately share at that time.
I do think that Lavernius was a better pro too, because he came in as a running back, moved to receiver, and he gained experience in that position in the NFL.
And Bolden's the same way.
So I think that eventually Lavernius would have been on that level. He just wasn't experienced enough at that position.
Okay, y'all are number 8.
I got Ron Simmons.
That's who I had at 8 as well. Just because he's before my time, but most of his records still stand today.
He speaks for itself. The work.
Yeah, he's on a different level. He was the one defensive lineman that could separate from everyone else. Like Florida State's had some great pass rushers. We named them Boulware, Andre Wadsworth, Raynard Wilson, but it was hard to separate one from another.
Cameron Wimberly.
Yeah, Wimbley, DeMarcus Walker. Like we can go on and on and on and on.
The two guys that went, they went to what's his name? Wimbley went to Cleveland that same year. We had another one that left too.
We had Everett Brown, Bjorn Werner, Brandon Jenkins.
What was his name? It was Wimbley and somebody else went that same year. Darnell Dockett. We had Darnell Dockett. Dockett was a monster too.
And after number 8, this is when
things get fun.
This is when it gets elite for me.
Yeah.
So for number 7, I got Dalvin Cook.
Oh, okay.
I think Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in college football history. I think you put him behind a Wisconsin offensive line, he shatters every single college football record.
Easily.
I think he rushes for 8,000 yards.
I think honestly, between him and McCaffrey, them two are two of the best all-purpose backs to ever touch a football in college football.
Yes.
I mean, all-purpose. Like I've never seen Bo Jackson catching Bo Jackson didn't have hands like that. I've never seen him really catch balls like I've seen Dalvin or Christian catch balls. But I've seen both their body of work, and yeah, I agree with you, Nate. Those two are two of the best all-purpose backs to touch a football in college football ever.
Dalvin's the best running back in ACC football history.
Yeah, I love hearing the Travis Etienne and all that kind of junk. That's great for how many yards, but he was there for a good long while, guys. So that's not really. That's not even an argument. I think we talked about that article last month. That was just a silly thing that was brought up there. But skill wise, it's just not even close. And at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. You can talk about numbers, what Etienne did. God, I mean. Look at the state that also Dalvin Cook was playing in compared to Clemson's offensive line and Florida State's offensive line. It just wasn't even – it's not even close. The skill set is just ridiculous. I think I agree. He most certainly should be in the top 10 because he's Florida State's best running back ever.
I think it's that debate of Barry Sanders versus Emmitt Smith. You put Barry Sanders behind that Dallas offensive line, he rushes for 25,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That NFL record would be untouchable for forever.
And that's probably what we're going to see with Cam Akers, too, I think, with the Rams. He's going to have a long career with them, and he's going to get paid. I mean, they found, hey, I don't need Jared Goff really that much no more. Let's just give it to Cam Akers for about 75% of the game. So,
who do you have for 7?
I also had Dalvin 7. Much like you guys said, he broke all of Florida State's rushing records in one less season than work done.
Mm-hmm.
That's so impressive. And that's partially the reason why I didn't put Dunn top 10. No discredit to him at all. But just because of how great Dalvin was, and he was the offense for 2 seasons.
And he didn't really get a lot of carries until halfway through his freshman season.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think about that.
Still rushed for 1,000 as a freshman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I got to get.
I mean.
Oh, no, you deserve him, Los.
You deserve
the carries.
Just don't forget me, Logan. I can't touch the ball.
You also can't race me.
I mean, but we knew it was going to be special, though. I mean, like we said, we knew, like EJ talked about Jameis. Man, we knew Dalvin was going to be good. We wasn't stupid, man. Mm-hmm. We was in the meeting room with him. We trained with him. We knew, like, hey, when this man get in the film room, RG, you might not be playing. Like, you might not get snapped. Hey, MP, you better start playing, because if he start getting the ball, he might not stop. Luckily, I can do a lot of things. I can goal line. I can run the ball when nobody. I'm the situational football, and Jimbo taught us that. He taught us big situational football. I got lucky. I was the only big back in the room at the time.
To me, the fact Jimbo played a true freshman running back with the talent y'all had, that tells you everything you know about Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
He was good.
Number 6, I got Derek Brooks.
Ooh, I don't know. I had Marvin Jones. I flipped linebackers with you.
You're out of your mind.
You got Shade Tree at 6?
You're out of your mind.
It was tough for me from here.
Shade Tree at 6.
It was tough for me from
here. You're disrespectful.
It was tough for me from here.
I don't know who's on your list right now.
D Brooks is phenomenal, Hall of Famer. I think he's definitely an elite college linebacker, but he's doing better in the pros.
For sure.
Get on, Carlos.
Better got 5 more good names, Austin.
VZ.
I do.
Carlos, please call out
Shade up there with LeVar Arrington.
I'll talk about Shade Tree when I get there, Carlos.
Like, talking about for me.
Yeah, he's better.
He is, but like LeVar was nasty at Penn, dog. He was.
Shade Tree was even better.
Shade Tree.
Okay.
Different.
All right, now number 5, I got Jameis Winston.
I had Derek Brooks 5.
Okay.
Part of it's recency bias for me. I fully admit that because I'm younger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But like I grew up with Jameis. I grew up with some of these guys. I didn't grow up with some of these linebackers. So yeah, part of it is recency bias for me.
My brother's a linebacker. All he do is watch that.
See that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I got Jameis just because at 5 because of 10-year. 2-year starter.
Yeah.
If he would have been a 3-year, I think he's up there at one or 2. I'll be honest with you.
I agree.
I think him to be top 5, and you look at Florida State and all they've had and all they've done to be top 5 in a 2-year career, 29-1. He's an all-time great.
Yeah, and then also you think about too why he might not be higher on your list, the talent that he had around him that eventually went into the NFL.
But he also made that talent better, though.
Oh yeah, as a leader in the locker room, yeah, most certainly, and changed. And that was something Vince said too last week. He mentioned that they weren't as big of leaders as this 2013 team was, like the freshman, like Jameis Winston was coming in.
Number 4, I got Charlie Ward.
I had Jameis 4.
For me, Charlie Ward is, when I was, in high school was when Charlie was, I'll never forget that game against Notre Dame. I was at a friend's house and I was physically ill after that game. But Charlie is phenomenal, man. He's ahead of his time. Like if he played in today's game, be ridiculous.
There's definitely an argument for who's the better quarterback, Jameis versus Charlie, especially numbers wise. What Jameis was able to do in 2 seasons, he's third all time in Florida State passing yards. He's second all time in career passing touchdowns. Whereas comparatively, Ward's 10th and 6th. Yes, part of it's different eras for sure. But there's definitely an argument for who you would take.
And also, like Jameis in 2013, Charlie Ward sat out a lot of games in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, he just didn't need to play.
Yeah. Number 3, I got my second favorite of all time. I got Shade Tree, number 3. I think he's far and away, for me, the best linebacker in college football history. I'll argue that with anyone. That guy was just a different animal. He's a different species. Him at Florida State, he was that first real trendsetter, that guy who was just on the middle and was just a monster. He was that guy who set the tone for the defense and special for me. I almost put him at number 2.
I had Charlie 3. Like I said, there's a huge argument that could go between Charlie and Jameis. I just think what Charlie did for the program to get them their first national championship, the first Heisman. Deion may have set the map for Florida State, but Charlie set the map. He made it a destination to go to. He revolutionized college quarterbacks. All these college quarterbacks that are coming nowadays still look up to Charlie. And I think that says something. Plus, I'm a basketball guy. I'm going to put him a little bit higher.
Oh, okay. There it is.
I think we're going to have the same top 2. I got number 2. I got P-Dub.
Yep.
The
greatest college receiver ever.
I think his time in the NFL kind of makes people forget about how he was in college.
Yeah. So, just the tape that you can put on and just watch him absolutely embarrass kids.
I just remember the run against Louisiana Tech.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, every time it's retweeted on the timeline, you got to sit down and watch it. That one highlight video that whoever made it 3 or 4 years ago that Chad Johnson retweets every 6 months, got to watch it.
Yep.
He's one of the most electrifying players in college football ever. That's not a debate.
As a redshirt freshman, pretty much goes in and beats Clemson by himself. It's filthy. And I got Deion number 1.
Yeah, it's no debate. I don't think anyone's going to argue with Deion being number 1.
I think Deion made Florida State cool, and what he did on the field. Personally, I think Deion Sanders is a piece of crap as a person, and we'll get into that another day. But in terms of him as a football player, I think that he is far and away an all-time great on any level of football.
Yeah, like you said, not just on the football field. I mean, what he did for Florida State on the baseball diamond,
track,
he ran track as well. Yeah, and like
MLB,
said, making Florida State cool. He was the guy that put Florida State on the map. Like I mentioned with Charlie, he's the guy that people said, "Oh, that's what I want to be."
He's been on this podcast before.
Yeah, there's some people who thought that basketball was his best sport.
He was a great high school basketball player too, if you look back at it.
And then I was going to mention too, Austin mentioned Deion Sanders put, Florida State on the map like that. Also put Hear the Spear on the map. He was our first guest ever on our first ever episode. Deion Sanders really put Hear the Spear on the map right off the bat, just like that. So, created, Hear the Spear is not doing too shabby right now. So, got to give a little hat tip to our guy Primetime over there, who he did say that once he's got to figure out his contract with Barstool, but he does want to come back on here and talk some FSU and football and NFL. So,
what'd you talk to him, Nate?
Yeah, Nate and Deion can go at it. I'm sure that would actually go really well. That'd be a difference. It'd be just like Carlos and Nate.
I would love to debate with Deion.
Let me ask you a question, Deion. That'd be your segment.
Let me ask you a question, Deion. Why are you such a piece of crap?
Why are you so racist?
Hey guys, you guys listen to Hear the Spear, presented by Noles Game Day, sponsored by Chick-fil-A, West Tennessee Street, Tallahassee. You guys heard it first here.
Hey, add it up. Hey, this is why We're here for the content. We're here for the content. I'm interested to see if the chat's there. Oh, now the chat's starting to come out of nowhere. The chat on YouTube's hanging out with us now.
So basketball is coming back on Saturday. Wake Forest coming to town. Austin, what you think about that?
I'm crying. Hold on.
Man. Hey.
Oh my God.
You know who I also want to have back on here is Corey Fuller. Corey Fuller joined us for about like 6 months on the show. He brought on a lot of guests too and helping that, and he was really great. I talked with him a couple weeks ago. We gotta have Corey Fuller back on here too because he's just got like that football mentality. He's a funny guy to be around though. He's real funny. I'm trying to like deter what just happened, but I'm bringing it back.
Before we jump into basketball,
she's great, man. That was classic, man. That was classic.
Hey.
Before we jump into basketball, any arguments from the three that didn't give their list?
Hold on. One guy I wasn't put on there was Leroy Butler.
I thought about him too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of recent guys that like not even since Leroy Butler that made such an impact on Florida State since 2010 that you can give a slight argument to.
What do you guys think of that list?
I think it's
your list was good. I just shade tree it. Anything under 4.
Again, for me, I fully admit it's recency bias.
It's because my brothers played linebacker.
Yeah, and I wasn't a defensive guy.
Watch linebacker highlights.
I did not. I'll be honest. I did not give a damn about defense until Telvin came through. I'm gonna be honest.
He made it exciting.
He did. He was so much fun to watch. He's my favorite Florida State football player ever.
Are you growling at me?
You should just go watch Shade Tree highlights, man.
I'm surprised Corey Mangum didn't make the list.
Whoa.
If we're doing a bottom 10, he's number 1.
Hey, honestly though, I kid you not, I was sitting in my phone. I was like, I wonder if I could make a not top 10 at Florida State.
Yeah.
He number 1 on not top 10.
How was that kid an All-American?
Oh, JJ Constantino.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say
JJ don't count because he didn't start.
No. I'm mad at Austin because if he was smart about it, he would have put at least JJ in an honorable mention because of his girlfriend. Because Austin is in love with JJ Constantino's girlfriend.
Okay, let's be real.
I mean, who's not?
What single man at Florida State is not in love with Karina Rosario? Let's be real.
No. I'm just disappointed.
I've never seen her.
Oh,
I've never seen her.
That's a lot. Let's make sure we get a screenshot to Nate here so we can get a live reaction.
You want me to change that right now?
Austin, you work on that.
For the podcast, someone sent me a DM.
Whoa, Austin. Oh, another girl? Austin.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Austin, you give Nate a screenshot. Dustin, you lead us into basketball. Are we finally back now? It feels like forever. Once again, round 2 that we don't get to see Florida State basketball play. Are they going to come back as strong like they did in their last break? Like, holy crap. Sounds good, Dustin. Thank you so much.
Are you talking to me?
You're giving the transition. This is when we know Dustin's not really listening to the podcast that he's on, not just listening, but he's on. Dustin, lead us in while Austin gives a picture of a pretty girl to Nate. And Dustin, lead us into basketball. We're back, baby, finally.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been, almost 2 weeks now since Florida State's last game, and they're finally out of the COVID pause going into Saturday afternoon's game against Wake Forest, who has been one of the teams near the bottom of the ACC for most of the conference season. Who'd they beat a couple weeks ago, Austin, when they were just hitting threes? Was it Pitt?
Let's be honest. Wake sucks. I don't want to talk about Wake Forest. They've beaten Miami. They've beaten Pitt by 1 after Pitt beat Duke. And they beat Boston College. This team sucks. I don't want to talk about them. Let's talk about Virginia on Monday.
It pays to be a quarterback at Florida State.
Is that your reaction to
JJ
Constantino's girlfriend? Are they still together? Are they still together? I'm looking at it.
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think so.
That market's open for me and Austin. That market is open.
Austin, you should send her a picture of your shoe collection. That might get you in.
I think she wears heels. I feel like she's a heel girl because she played softball, going to have nice legs. You're going to show it off a little bit here and there.
I can get her into ones.
I'm a brunette kind of guy, so I mean, now that I see the market's open, just like the stocks are blowing up, this might be my time.
This is your Dogecoin.
Austin, there's a competition happening right now.
It's a deep competition. There's a lot of people in this race.
Moving on to Virginia, though, Austin, do you think this game will be more than 39-37?
Good argument. I don't know. It's gonna be boring to watch. I tried to watch the Virginia Georgia Tech game last night,
Oh my God, it was.
and it
terrible.
was what 59-47.
Yeah.
It sucks. Virginia's even worse pace wise than they were in the past few years. It's bad, man. The only reason last night was even close was because they had 5 turnovers in the first 6 minutes. Really, with Virginia, if you're turning them over, if you're hitting threes like Florida State wants to do, you have a good chance of winning. They got smacked by Gonzaga earlier in the year by 20. They lost to San Francisco early in the year, 60-61. But they've grown a lot since then. Trey Murphy's emerged as a really, really good NBA prospect for them. I've talked to a few people who think that's their best NBA prospect out of all the talent they have there, from Jay Huff, Kihei Clark, whoever you want to list. A lot of people really like Trey Murphy there. It's a good team. They were my prediction. They were my prediction to win the ACC at the beginning of the year. This is the biggest game of the season for both teams. Just because Duke and Carolina fell off, and because Florida State's gotten no road games this year because of COVID, this is the biggest game for both teams, and they're going to have to play like it on just one day of rest. Florida State's 1-0 Big Mondays so far. Had that big Louisville win early in the year. Now they're going to have to do it again against a Virginia team that needs this win for a resume.
I'm excited.
It's going to be fun.
I thought Dustin was going to talk. Dustin, we are talking basketball.
I was about to say something, but I got a text message right when I looked at my text message.
We're just falling off the rails.
Yeah.
Late night.
I shouldn't say it's going to be
Nate's
fun.
wife said something. I don't know.
I shouldn't say the game's going to be fun because anytime you watch Virginia, it's the definition of not fun. But it'll be interesting. We'll put it that way.
I'm just so glad that I'm excited for basketball now coming back because I need it. Football is over. I need something to watch. I need full right now. This is basketball's time. This is usually the best time of the year. We're heading into March. Things are starting to rumble. I'm gonna start figuring out my party plans for March Madness. I'm getting the dates down. Is it true that March Madness is starting on a Thursday or a Monday? Oh, no, on a Monday. No, it's starting on a Monday this year. If I'm correct, if I heard that, that is absolutely. If that is true,
I haven't seen that to be honest, but I've also been busy. Usually it starts on a Tuesday. With the first 4, usually starts on a Tuesday, and then the first games are the first real games are on Thursday. If they change that, I'm suing.
Okay. Maybe I was listening.
It will begin on Thursday, March 18th.
Which they need.
Is Polite coming back?
Yes, he should be back this weekend, unless he had some setback during practice this week. But he should be back.
Fellas, hey, just to give y'all, I'm gonna miss March Madness because my wife is not gonna let me attend basketball anymore. She's threatening to take me off the computer right now.
What?
So if you see something jerk me or happen to me,
okay,
you guys will witness this on the live stream.
Jerky, someone take
my
you.
Computer if I happen to leave the meeting, just know, you know why.
Carlos is in trouble.
Now, when you say
it wasn't because I don't like basketball.
You're getting jerked off the screen, what? You said you're getting jerked.
Time out.
You're getting
responsible. Chick-fil-A. Stop it. Stop it.
I like basketball. Please believe me. It's not me.
Don't worry, we're ending it off right now. Now we just have Virginia preview, right? Or did we already do?
No one wants to talk about Virginia more than they have to.
It's been a mess.
Yeah.
This podcast is over about 10 minutes ago. Okay?
Yeah, let's be real.
Nate's wife ended the podcast.
I'm happy somebody said it but me. Because she should, that right there, man, that's great.
I'm still thinking about what she said.
That's great radio right there, man.
Oh, man.
You don't get no better than that.
Oh, my God. Well, I think that's going to do it, too. It's 10:36. It's late. We know now that Here the Spirit can't go past 10 o'clock. So we figured that out. That's why hopefully next week we'll be back at 8:30. I think I can say the guest. I'll just say LA Charger. LA Charger. We'll just throw that out there. LA Charger is going to be joining us next week.
Bolt up, baby.
Bolt up, baby. Bolt up. Bolt up. I'm excited to have him on. I don't know if I can really say it. I don't have the double confirmation, so I won't do that. I'm going to try to stay professional. But next week, we'll be having him on, hopefully, and that's going to pretty much do it. You can always listen to Hear the Spear on iTunes.
Hey, just remember before you sign off, Travis Hunter, #1 player in the 2023 class.
Yeah,
Please come on the podcast.
Did you get him to respond yet to come on the pod?
Not yet. Working on it.
Right now, it's hot.
Travis Hunter, come on the podcast.
As a busy man.
Keep putting the gas. Keep putting the gas on the fire, baby. With the guests coming on, man, we've been hot lately, even though it's been 2 weeks. But shout out to EJ Manuel. Thanks for listening. You can listen on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify. Hit that subscribe button, guys. If you're listening on iTunes right now, we haven't had a new rating in so long. I'm desperately crying for one right here. I'm just sitting here with tears coming down my face. If you could give us a review, leave 5 Los, tell them to hit a 5-star rating. Tell them right now.
Listen, go and fast forward to Nate's wife comment, and boom. That's primetime radio, people.
5-star, baby. 5 stars, baby. Thank you guys.
I don't know if they let you say that on the radio.
Come on now.
Nowadays, you never know.
Yeah, I'll do a review. How do I do it?
You haven't even done one for us, you asshole. Jesus, I bet none of them on here. I bet none of them on this show have either. So that's nothing new. That'd be Dustin's first time for the show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's evening. We'll see y'all next week at 8:30 Thursday night. Appreciate y'all.